Hi everyone. Okay, so last annuity video we talked about a very simplified version of an annuity, accounting for an annuity. Basically it's present value, future value, but this time we're going to take it a step further and add an amortization aspect to our calculation. And you see here, over here, what I'm talking about. We're going to have, we're going to account for the deposits and payments. And so this formula or this spreadsheet that we're going to create here will work both for your annuity and sinking fund. Mostly, you'll have to make adjustments when we're talking about withdrawals. But for the most part, it's similar. We'll just have to change some plus signs to some negative signs to account for withdrawals when we do a sinking fund. But let's talk about an annuity first. Okay, so let's recreate this. And what I'd like to start doing first is we're going to do account for a periodic interest, INT, and that's going to go there. I'd like to create a cell for payment, and that's going to go there. And then let's name our columns. So deposits or payments, withdrawals, interest, and balance. And what we're trying to do with these annuities is we're trying to account where money's coming from, how much we're making each period in interest, and how that adjusts our interest every period. Okay. So again, like we've done in the other worksheets that we've done with amortization and so forth, we've created cash flows. So cash flow, CF0. And then what I like to do is Excel's really good at this. Google Docs is not as good at being able to drag and drop, but it'll automatically count up for us. If I'm not mistaken, Google Docs does not do this. It'll just do CF0 all the way through. It doesn't count up for you. And that's probably because Microsoft has some proprietary or patent on that feature. Okay. So what we're going to do is we know certain aspects. Let's do the problem above. We know certain aspects of our annuity. We know we're going to get paid 1.5%. Okay. We don't know what our payment is. What we're trying to figure out is how much do we need to save each year to get to $17,000 at the end. Remember, we have beginning and end, but at the end of cash flow period 4. So we're going to figure this out. So what we do know, and let's make sure, let's highlight these cells and let's just automatically take them and make them the accounting format so we can just plug in data and we won't have to manipulate it later. So let's hit 0 because we don't have any money at cash flow 0 yet. But we will once we deposit money here. And we do know here that we're going to have $17,000. At least that's what we hope to achieve. So how do we get the payment? Well, we're going to force it. And one of the ways that you could do that is either doing the payment function, or I believe if you really wanted to go about it, you could do a goal seek. But we're just going to go ahead and do the payment. And remember, if we don't put any of our figures negative in the formula, our answer is going to be negative. So let's just remember that. So we're going to do payment. We're going to do our rate. Periods is 4. Our present value is 0, but let's make that negative 0 just so that it adjusts our calculation down the road and we don't have to manipulate it. Okay. And then our future value. In fact, let's come back here and go negative. That's cell function. Okay. And then we'll just do 0 because we know we're going to do the end of the period for type. And we're going to hit enter. Oh, and it looks like that negative 0 doesn't do anything, which makes sense. So let's see what it does if we do it to the negative 17,000 or to the 17,000. Okay, that made it positive. And again, the reason why we're doing that, ideally we would probably do it to the 0, the present value. But since it's 0, it doesn't account for it like it should. So we're just going to apply the negative to the 17. Or if you wanted to, you could apply the negative at the beginning of the formula to put it positive. Even though it's a cash outflow, the reason why I'm doing that here, making it positive, is for when we make the calculations through these rows, we don't want to confuse that or make the equation in these more complicated than they need to be, because if we do, it could create confusion, needless confusion that could get us to the wrong outcome. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come down to cash flow 1, and we know that it's going to be our payment, right? We're going to put in there, and we're going to make sure that we absolute reference that, or you can name the payment cell if you'd like. Again, if I'm not doing massive, huge spreadsheets where there's multiple pages and it gets super complicated, I'm not going to name it. It's just a waste of time, and it's easier just to reference the cell. And what we can do is once it's absolute reference, we can just drag this down because we know that's what our payment is each month. Okay, so because cash flow 1, we're making the payment at the end. There's no interest accrued, so we're just going to hit 0. But this is where we need to create a formula. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this cell, so E16, the first balance of cash flow 0, plus cash flow 1, plus the interest, and we're not going to worry about withdrawals. Why? Because it's an annuity. Okay. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to make sure, let's actually fix this formula here. We're going to do this times the interest rate. We're going to make that absolute referenced, okay? But it's going to be 0 because we're calculating F0, okay? So then we're going to take these numbers, we're going to drag it down. Okay, and I don't want to do that to my 17 because that'll mess up this calculation here. Okay, that looks the same as this, which is actually your solution to question 1 in your assignment. Okay, there's going to be several of the questions in the assignment that are going to look like this, where you're backing into the payment, but there's going to be other questions in your assignment where you're giving the payment, interest rate, but you have to find the balance, okay, the future value at the end of the periods. So there's going to be variations, so just be mindful of what the question is asking for and what you're looking for. Additionally, be mindful about the periodic interest rate. Remember, sometimes the solutions in your to your questions will be the periodic rate, not the annual rate. So if you get to the periodic rate, you have to convert it to annual. So if we're compounding monthly, that's we have to convert the periodic by multiplying by 12 to get the annual. If it's quarterly, it's by 4. If it's semi-annual, that's 2, and so on. So just make sure that you pay attention to what the question is asking for. And then when you're done, when you find the answer, make sure you highlight it, because that 1 helps me find it. 2, it helps me understand that you know what you're looking for, and you prove to me that you know what the question's asking for. Okay, let me know if you have any questions.